is exactly what Conor Ben and Eubanks sold for the pay-per-view fight. And when you think about why is it that these guys have so much success, they were asked on the show, are you incentivized to fight better? Are you financially rewarded for fighting like it matters? And so when he was asked the question, this is what I want you guys to think about. Repeat what I'm going to tell you exactly what I just said. 670,000 pay-per-view buys. And the first question that was asked was, are you incented to actually fight and get paid on a performance bonus whenever you're on a pay-per-view event? And the answer is absolutely yeah. So tell me, why is it that Canelo, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez, why is it that they fought like no matter how they fought, that they would get the bag? This is where we start thinking, are these athletes actually spoiled? And why is it that the guys over here in the UK who had the opportunity to show their mettle took full advantage of it? And not only did they fight and put on a fight of the year type performance, but at the same time, these two guys threw 1,500 punches in the fight. Canelo, Devin Haney, and Teo, with all three fights, threw a total of 1,400 punches. Now you do the math. That's 3 fights that these guys had the opportunity to show why they get paid, why they are pay-per-view stars, or why they're trying to be pay-per-view stars like Canelo. You see, this is where the problem starts in boxing, because everybody thinks that this shit just keep going on and that these paydays are going to keep going. But when Turkey had to fly from the United States, New York, to go all the way back to Saudi so they can go through the Riyadh season card with Canelo, he's never going to forget that trauma. That's not an easy flight. That's not an easy flight. We're talking 14 hours possibly. Straight out a long event that literally brought more people in. When you talk about the amount of people that showed up for that fight in New York, I mean, that was star-studded. The most people ever to attend a fight outside ever, period. Point blank. Is, I mean, you're talking Broadway. Like, it's limitless people. It's a tourist attraction. People come from all over the world. I'm here in Miami, so I understand how the tourist life is year round. That's what it's like here. So they're in New York, Broadway, the place that people are going to go to. And then they have this fight. And these fighters are getting paid. And I'm pretty sure that the fighters on that card were getting more than the others who are actually fighting. 670,000 buys. And Ben was asked, like I just said, are you incentivized to fight? Let me break down the incentive that the fighter must. The promoters have to think about, the people who are writing the checks, they have to think about, how do I get this fighter to actually fight? Let me see. How do I get the fighters to actually fight? Here's the breakdown. The incentives are, number one, I need to make sure that these guys throw punches. So if you throw X a number of punches around on average, you'll get a 2% spike in the money. Okay, so let's just say you're making $100 and somebody say, well, I'm gonna give you 2%, that's $2 more. But when you're talking about 2% with $1 million, you're talking about $2,000, right? That's a pretty big deal. I mean, 20,000. Every single person that takes part in these events, amount of punches thrown, is there going to be a knockdown? Even more money for a knockout, stoppage. You get incentivized, you get more money per achievement. And they have a list of the achievements. Why? Because I was in the promotional world when I was coaching under the tutelage of Coach Bradley, who was a mean, shut your mouth, because he was militant. And a lot of people, they're watching these fights, they don't understand what the actual people who are a part of the event are going through. But when you see a guy take liberty to not throw punches in a fight, I know his deal could not be good. And even though EUBANKS had $500,000 taken from his purse, he still fought like a dog, literally nearly to the death. He literally almost died. The doctor said, if we don't start operating now, he will die. And he heard that when he was unconscious in the hospital. But he still threw punches. How many punches do you land? How powerful? How many power punches will you be willing to throw? How many knockdowns can you get? Will this be a candidate for Fight of the Year or Fight of the Year? Those are the denominators that leverage the conversation. Are you worthy of this money we're going to pay you? And this is what we're going to pay you if you actually deliver these other intangibles in that fight. Every single fight is set up that way. It's exactly like in the NBA or NFL. If you're going to go into a game, championship level game, I'm going to sign LeBron James to a contract. LeBron, if you can average 28 during the playoffs, we're going to pay you here. If you can get X amount of steals, we're going to pay you this much more. If you get us to the playoffs, we're going to pay you this. If you get us to the championship round, what we're going to pay you is lights out. We're going to break the bank. And if we win it, you're part owner of the team. That's a negotiation. This is exactly how this all happens. When you have an opportunity to take advantage of what they're offering you, they're only going to offer you what they want to deliver to their audience. So when fighters start to believe that the fight belongs to them, they're delusional, because fighters will always replace another fighter. Sugar Ray Robinson replaced by the great fighters that followed, the George Bentons, the Sugar Ray Leonards, all of those killers that came along in the 60s and 70s. George Benton, that's the downline. Thank God I got to learn from a tree of guys who did it at the highest level. But I just want to bring clarity to why is it that fighters who performed last weekend, that event was absolutely atrocious to watch. I literally was boiling inside. I couldn't imagine working the corner, because what that told me about these people who were working the corner, and there was a lot of incompetence in the corner, because there are only 3 reasons why fighters lose fights. Number 1, incompetence, whether it's with skill or in the corner. And that's what you saw, because they didn't understand how to make the adjustment to put on a performance that would actually help their bag. They didn't care. Number 2 reason why fighters lose. The second reason is lifestyle. Eat too much muscle, hanging out in the streets, drinking, partying, girls. That's lifestyle. That's collective. Every single time a fighter loses a fight, these are the 3 things that'll be front and center 100%. Every time I put that video up, there's never anything to lose, because it will always do 1 million views. The third reason that a fighter loses fights is EQ, lack of emotional intelligence. They always find a way to slip on a banana peel. Period, point blank. We saw it with Usman versus Edwards. Won the whole fight. Last 1 second on the clock. Knocked out. Slipping on a banana peel, getting too greedy. You see it all the time in sports, combat particularly, because it's so easy. The New York Knicks take the Boston Celtics 2 games in a row in Boston. The Celtics crushing them the whole game. Inside of 2 minutes, take a double-digit lead, eliminate it, take the lead, win the game. How does that happen? There's leprechauns on the planet. That's a fact. But when it happens twice, that's incompetence. And that's what was in that corner. Whenever those guys come back to the corner and you don't understand, this is where I was tested. And I don't know anybody who doesn't know me, but my first time calling a fight, and I wasn't even a chief second, was under the tutelage of my coach, who had coached over 20 world champions at the time, Coach Kenny Adams, Coach Anthony Bradley, both. I'm sitting there, I'm just there. I'm the third. And we were losing a championship fight, right? This was the WBF. Okay, so it's a UK title. But this was the first time this fight, we're in the corner. Our guy getting whooped. And my coach said he slapped me because we only had like a few rounds left. So if you don't take advantage of the fight, if you don't take advantage of the moment, what's going to happen is you can never get the momentum up back. He hit me on the shoulder, almost knocked my shoulder off, and said, "E," and that's what he called me. "E, tell him to throw the jab." And he deferred to me because he understood his tone wasn't working. And boxing isn't just about saying, "Hey, throw the jab. Hey, block the body shot. Hey, counter him. Hey, step to the left, circle him, set him up with the uppercut." It's about what you can translate, how you translate. And in my most clearest voice, I said, "P, throw the jab. P, throw the jab." Because the first time it was loud and blatant. The second time it was a tone to it. Throw the jab. So all he could hear was me yelling in the gym, like I yelled in the gym. And the moment I said it, he didn't do it the first time. It was when I said it again, because the first time it was nerves. The second time I'm like, I'm about this life. This is what I do. And I ain't freezing up in the moment of truth. It was the mannerism that I understood that I have to say it. Not that I said it, but how did I say it? How can he hear it? That's what he heard the second time. And boom, boom. And we didn't make it another 2 minutes. He knocked the dude out. True story. Everything that you do relies on if you have an antidote to do it a particular way. And I just didn't have the wherewithal to do it one way. I understood the unique capability that I was born with, which is the art of communication. Being able to communicate to people does not give everybody the light to have that ability. That's an ability. And my brother used to always say, "You got the gift of gab." I said, "No, I just believe, and if he can hear my tone, then we are going to make it to the sky." And that's the reason why over here, most people get it wrong. And that's why I say there are 3 reasons why fighters lose. And every time I put that video up, it does 1 million views. You're talking to someone who literally has come up under two generals back to back. So I understand format, formula, and that is one of the main reasons I've had any success not because of your talent, because your talent won't be good enough. You have to then get directly up under someone who's done what you're trying to do, because success leaves clues, and they'll give you the navigation to do it that way and that way only. Because as bad as we want to be the answer, you don't have answers. You don't have the answers. The answers come from experiences. Then you couple that with your talent, and that's how you end up being a mogul. With those experiences and having people under our tutelage and being under the tutelage, it allowed me to see things that were happening in fights. Like I did call Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks. I knew who would win and I knew it would be great, but I knew that Chris would find the guts. Then his father showed up, so that's going to happen. As he said, I almost died and I almost lost. And that percentage, that 1.3% that I needed, it was because my father was present that it happened. And I was able to pull it out. And that's the difference between making it successfully and not. I took an oath to myself that I would transform my mind, my body, and internally soul over the past 90 days. Today is day 26 of this journey of 90 days. And I'm transforming. And in the midst of it, I realized that I couldn't eat the amount of food. When you think about Canelo Alvarez, when you think about Devin Haney, when you think about Teofimo Lopez, all guys who've had situations with weight. Canelo, when he couldn't get down to that 152 mark when he fought Floyd. Devin Haney, when he was trying to be another weight class and said, I can't make it to that weight class. T.O., exact same thing. Had to go up to 140. Then you look at Ryan, had to go up to 147 because they can't manifest what they need to do because of what they want to do. They want to live that life. They want to still have fun. They want to do everything but what champions do. That's why no one can reign as champions. And this is the problem in boxing. This is the problem in sports. And this is the problem with people. And that's why I took a note to myself and I decided all of those training camps that I learned from the greatest minds in boxing, one thing that I took away from it is that being able to hear about the stories with George Benton in training camp and my coach working with 𝗬𝗎 and getting to an altercation with someone like 𝗬𝗎, Matthew saw where his mountain was and where his valleys were. Those stories directly from my coach made me very clear on what you can't do and what you need to do. And therefore, you can't put things past me. And the first time I went to a camp, it was in the hills in Baltimore, and it was for 𝗪𝗓𝗂, preparing Hashem Rockman. And some of you have heard the story. But when we went into that camp, there was this training program, and it was called Walking 25s. And Coach Soul told me about it, but I hadn't heard about it. And I was in physical training for over a decade at that point. But there are systems and there are sciences that you have to know about once you get to the championship level and you're fighting people like 𝗪𝗪𝗪. And then I sent my fighter, which I was his advisor, over to Cali to be #1 sparring partner for Pacquiao. He had to know how to go over there and deliver. He said, Pacquiao closes the gap faster than anybody I've ever been in the ring with, sparring against that guy, Antonio Margarita, all of these different legends. We had to understand how to take exercises, training methods from these great training camps that we're a part of. And you got to do the exact same thing. You can't create the wheel. You have to start where the wheel was not started and built in today's time, but the wheel has already been done, like the periodic table. So you don't reinvent it. What you do is find someone who has it and you couple yourself with them because number one, success leaves clues. Level up with the person. Now you take it to the next level and you say, Coach Adams was great at structure. Coach Bradley was an absolute maniacal organizer. So what do I do? I'm good at systemizing things, taking all of the great ideas and the processes and I put them into play. And that's what allowed me to create 30 books on all of that stuff that I learned in training camp. See, I understood how to write. I understood systematic, but what I did wrong when I was coming up was I was trying to train people out of my head, which I was pretty good, but it was overloading my brain. So every single day I walked into the gym, I was coming up with brand new methods instead of having one system that solves all problems. And I did it. 30 books later. This book right here is Drawn to Magnificence. This is the history of the peekaboo style. Why do I know the peekaboo style? Because I'm in the downline of Archie Moore. So I know the peekaboo like nobody's business. I know the charting. I understand the science. I literally got the footnotes from Tony Zale himself, which is where Mike Tyson learned the best assets of the peekaboo from him. That's who he studied. You can pull it up on YouTube. I mean, by the way, Tony Zale's niece is my co-host on my show, for those of you who didn't know who I am. So there's that. Archie Moore's daughter is my god sister. There's that too. So the understanding of building systems is what my magic power was. I got a program design of it. It's called 12 Peaks because there's 12 peaks to develop a body. If you look at Canelo Alvarez, how he was able to get from 54 or 40 to 50 to 68. When you look at Andre Ward, how his trainer said because he weighed that does not mean we're going to fight there when he was at 68 and they wanted to go to 75, but he knows that it takes time. That's what's important, that you got to know about the science of developing the body. So I took all of that, crafted it, all 12 peaks of the muscle training, and making sure that all of that is in the system. The beginning one that you start with is called Battle Ready. And the reason why it was called Battle Ready is because it got you ready for battle. When you're fighting in fights like EUBANKS versus BENN, if you don't have optimal conditioning and understanding nutrition, then you're going to run into hurdles. BENN put EUBANKS in the hospital, but it was a detrimental act because of what EUBANKS didn't understand about muscle systems and getting his weight down with the proper nutrition. If you ever run into trying to put on muscle and cut the body down lean, you know how tough it is. But performing at the highest level requires you to do more. Performing at the championship level, only a decimal point, 0.0001%. That's 1,000% of athletes will ever know what it takes to get there. And I've been through all those levels, so I know it's not the same just getting into the top 10 or getting into the top 5 or even being ranked the first runner up to become the world champion, because every once in a while a champion will slip on a banana peel. But the reality is he has to remain champion. This system helps you remain the champ. We've used it and helped coaches like Coach Daya Davis, whose father was a standout performer in the '76 Olympics with Sugar Ray Leonard, and all of the greatest fighters, the Leon Spinks, Michael Spinks. You can't make that up. I taught him the system we use in sparring. And Dustin Poirier is his fighter. And Dustin Poirier goes and knocks that out. So if you haven't watched our thing on YouTube, you can go and look at that. Shane Mosley. People understand that we are doing this for real. So if you're doing it for real, you want to make sure you don't get caught up like these guys. not truly understanding how to fight in the moments where it matters most. If you don't understand how to turn it up when you fighting a guy in the middle of Broadway and you're being paid to fight away, but you can't pull the trigger because no one really knows how to translate what you need to do, then no matter what you do, save this video to refer back to and follow for more. Coach Bradley signing out. Be blessed at God's speed. I appreciate you guys. No matter what you do, if you hit the subscriber button, make sure you hit the notification bell because we're going to break you down next week, all week. We're going to be discussing 12 Peaks, the battle ready. And all of you guys deserve to learn what the top training minds know. Therefore, I'll be your pipeline. So until then, be blessed at Godspeed. If you have further questions, make sure that you reach directly out to us at masterboxingllc.com. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you all soon in the winner's circle. Peace.